What's up, fellow deplorable ones? This is your hostess with the mostest, S1K, Special K in the house, here to bring you the Deplorable Ones Week 5 review. So, some of you out there are probably already thinking, but wait a minute. I still got players to play. They play tonight. The week's not over. What about my score? And you'd be right. There is a game going on tonight, but for the players that are playing in those games, their scores probably aren't going to adjust the outcomes outside of point differential and stuff like that. Most of the winners have been decided, so I'm going to treat this as if the week was over. I will mention the players that are left to play for whichever teams have them starting, but for the most part, this week is already taken care of. So before I get into the review, I am going to request that at the conclusion of this video, you go down to the league chat and just mention, I have watched the league video. So that one, I know that you know where the league chat's at and how to use it. And two, so that I know that this is something that's being taken advantage of by the owners, because this has been a 4.5 hour event for me today, recording and re-recording, because it's hard to find commitments for a 15-20 minute video, and when you don't script it and you're just kind of throwing it all out there, you make mistakes, you forget stuff, and you got to re-record. So this has been a long endeavor for me today. So it'd be nice to know that it's being utilized. So on to the review. I'm going to fly through the scores, and then I'm going to bring up some very specific points. So first off, Trump 148 over Bad News Beers 88. Trump still has King Mediocre Henry to play, and Bad News Beers has Jordan Poirier and Stefan I catch all the balls Diggs. You're not making up that point differential, though. This game is over. Donald Trump moves to 4-1. Bad News Beers drops to 3-2. Dr. Feelgood 151 over Woke Bison 95. Woke Bison drops to 1-4. Dr. Feelgood moves to 3-2, and he also still has Cole Beasley left to play, and he only needs 22 points from Cole Beasley to take high score of the week from me. So good luck there. Other than that, you definitely won. You can pat yourself on the back there. Feel good. So okay, Google 84, Caitlyn Jenner 146. Caitlyn Jenner moves to 3-2. Okay, Google drops to 1 and floor. Nobody left to play in that matchup. This is probably the only remaining interesting matchup, and only because it's the closest points. You have Blue Team, who's finished scoring for the week at 160, playing Spencer Strasmore, who's currently at 132 with one Devin Singletary left to play. The chances of you getting 29 piece out of Devin Singletary is slim. If you can manage, then you go to 4-1, but more than likely you're going to have Blue Team at 3-2 and Spencer Strasmore also at 3-2. And then in the Luke and Darth Vader matchup, also the Kylo Ren Han Solo matchup, depending on which generation you lived in, you have Balzac finally getting a W, moving to 1-4 at 137 over Beans and Franks at 108. Beans and Franks slides to 2-3. And then to finish things off, you have the matchup of the week. If you've been paying attention to fantasy football, you have Special K going up against Foosball. Special K takes the resounding ass-beating victory, 173-116. Special K moves to 3-2. Foosball drops to 3-2. Some specific things. First off, to my opponent, foosball. I always get a little extra hype when I know that I'm playing you. You invited me to Brutal, I think it was 5 years ago, and thus really kicked off my obsession with fantasy football. I dabbled in it before, but I played that first season in Brutal and realized that I needed to step my game up. And, well, now I am where I'm at today because you invited me to that league. So just know I love it. You're the man. And it's always fun playing against you. And glad I could get the victory this time. Let's see. Bad News Beers. Thank you so much for accepting my league invitation. And I appreciate you for sending me props, for inviting you. You were one of the first people that I wanted to get into this because you told me you enjoyed football. And you seem like you know what you're doing. You just need a couple years to get up to speed on it. But I think your next step, if you really want to be in this for the long haul, is just get out there. Make yourself known to the other league members, talk some trash, lift some people up, whatever it is you want to do. But interaction is your next step for sure. And then really I'm just going to pick on OK Google for the most part here. But Woke Bison, I need you to understand that you are subtexted into this because you did the same damn thing. But I know that the Denver and New England game was canceled at the very last minute in the 11th hour. But foosball had Melvin Gordon starting until the game was canceled and he had to pivot. And he got his done on time. And I know that he was 3-1 and you guys are both sitting at 1-3 apiece, but that's no excuse. Check your lineups every Sunday morning before the game start. It is a number one pet peeve and a great way to get kicked out of any league you play in to intentionally start a bye. You're basically handing wins to people that maybe otherwise wouldn't have. What if Caitlyn Jenner would have had a low week? What if Dr. Feelgood had a low week? You could have stolen a victory away from them by starting a full lineup, and you pissed that away by not starting a full lineup. In Google's case, it's especially heinous because you had a safety that you could have plugged in that scored you 8.5 points on your bench. And you also had a linebacker available that you could have plugged in and played in the place of Judy. This is a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver league. And outside of that, you can start whoever the fuck else you want. And so leaving Jerry Jeudy in there was not cool. And then as far as Bison's concerned, you had 3 players on bye that were supposed to have buys. And then you had 4 players that were last minute canceled because of the Denver game. And at that point in time, it's your responsibility to hit the waiver wire. You're going to have to drop some players you maybe don't want to get a full lineup in. But I can understand taking 1 bye. In a situation like that, especially where everything's so last minute, 1 bye, whatever. You deal with it. But to take 3 in 1 week and to have 4 sitting on your bench is negligence from an ownership standpoint. And you guys both get a pass this week because it was the last minute cancellation. But no more starting buys. It's your job. It's your expectation. You invested $50 in this, and I know it may not seem like a lot to you guys, but it's still an investment, and it's still your responsibility to follow through with that on a weekly basis. Whether you're 1-3, 3-0, 5-0, 10-0, I don't give a shit. You're here because you want to play fantasy football, and you're supposed to play it. So that finalizes that. Heading into the standings. So if everything pans out the way that it looks like it's going to pan out, Spencer Strasmore is going to drop to 3-2. Donald Trump will take sole possession of first place in Trump Town with Spencer, Caitlin, and Dr. Feelgood all competing for that coveted second spot. And then you have Bad News Beers, who slid down to 3-2, and then I went to 3-2 with my victory. So we're tied for first in Bidenville, and Woke Bison and Balzac are competing for third place at 1 floor apiece. And then in the Libertarian Shanty, you have Foosball and Blue Team. That will be 3-2, tied for first. Beans and Franks will be sitting solo in third at 2-3, and then OK Google rounds out the mediocrity at 1 floor. I'm also going to mention real quickly one of my favorite modules that you can add to your homepage. If you don't know how to do that, let me know. I will get you information on how to do it, or I think I can do it manually myself. I'll look into that, but it is the Power Rankings module. It gives you a much more in-depth look at your league, gives you your efficiency ratings, your bench points, your min-maxes, your coulda won, shoulda lost, or coulda wons, woulda losts, your all-play record, which is if you played all 11 people every week, what would your record be at the end of that? And it's just a really telling way to learn how you could do better, how you could do worse, where you really sit in the league. Like, for instance, I'm second place in the power rankings, even though I'm only 2-2, because this week hasn't processed fully, right? I'm 2-2, but I'm second place in power rankings because my all-play record is 32-12, which is second highest in the league. So that's just something for you to look into. You should definitely take some time whenever you get a chance to get on your laptop and explore those modules that you can add and subtract, because there's a lot of good information that you can get off of this website. You just got to find it. So that's my tidbit of advice, is find that power rankings module and get that thrown up there for sure. And then I also want to bring up this right here. It is the league chat right there. You can see it. Just want to make sure everybody knows what it looks like, because so far I've only seen 6 people post on it, really. It's the easiest and quickest way to interact with people, and it's something that I've been stressing for 5 weeks now. So use it. Take advantage of it. It's important to myself and the Commissioner Donald Trump that we have that interaction. We have a community building experience here at the Deplorable Ones, and so do your part. I also highly recommend sending out emails to people for trades as opposed to just using the website, because the website's clunky and it's cumbersome, and it can take a little while. And if you don't have email notifications set up, you could send a trade request that person doesn't know about for 4 days. So use an email. It goes directly to the source, and it's easier for you guys to exchange dialogue in long form or short form, to really figure out the best trade available in the quickest way possible. So I highly recommend emailing, using the league chat. You can send messages to everyone, or you can select specific people to send a message to on the league chat. It's very, very, very useful tool. So yeah, start using that, please. What else? I mean, seriously, I'm going to give a huge props to all the people that Donald Trump invited to the league this year. So I don't know how much you guys know about this, but we split the invites up. I took 5, he took 5, and then we had each other to round out the 12-team league. And his 5, for those that don't know, are Caitlyn Jenner, Spencer Strasmore, Foosball, Blue Team, and Dr. Feelgood. They all are pretty much in the top of the league. My 5 were Balzac, Beans and Franks, Bad News Beers, Woke Bison, and OK Google. And Beans and Franks and Balzac had bad luck to begin the year. So they started out in a hole, and they've done a very valiant job of climbing out of it. Beers has a good team. He just doesn't quite have the depth that some of the other players do at certain positions. But give him a couple seasons, and I'm sure he'll be right up there with us if he chooses to stick along with this. But Woke Bison and Google. You guys have just been really disappointing. Now, Bison's at least sent trade requests, and he's asked me if there's anybody I'm willing to trade for on his team. And the short answer is no. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try, right? It doesn't mean that you shouldn't put in effort. Like, I can tell you, like, right now, if you hit the waiver wires and you picked up, say, Brandon Cooks, I might be willing to trade for him. If you picked up, yeah, it's funny because he was on my roster. I drafted him, and then I traded him, and then he got dropped. But I would take him again. Or say, if you could get, I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys that I'm looking at on the waiver wire this week that I'm probably not going to get because I don't have any money to spend on free agency. I don't have any waiver wire dollars anymore. So I can't really utilize it the way that other people can. So you pick up one of those guys and then you send a trade offer for him. And then you can get a better piece, a more consistent piece from me, because I want to take the flyer on the guy that can get me the boom bust weeks so that I can hit the 200 piece that I'm missing out on by this much every week. There's so much strategy involved, but there's effort and work that has to go into it. And really, I've seen it from most of all the players that are involved in this season, with the exception really of Woke Bison and Google. And really the only one that's absolutely shit the bed and not done a damn thing for anybody, even himself, has been OK Google. He has completely gone AWOL. He didn't even draft his team. His wife drafted his team. He doesn't watch these videos. He already told me. And he, for all intents and purposes, has completely shut himself off from the entire league. And now he's not even putting in full lineups. So he is on thin ice. From both me and Trump, we are both to here with that. So everybody else, thank you so much. I really appreciate your guys' effort, and this is going to be a crazy finish. I'm super excited to see how this plans out. And other than that, I will see you deplorable assholes in week 16. Remember, comment down in the player chat saying you watched this video, please, because I really need to know that people are taking advantage of this, because this has been a long process and I am tired.